So, the energy of the astrology this week shows a clashing of egos and maybe some interesting arguments, especially in relationships or even with friends. And I'm going to tell you how we see that and maybe what to do about it. Hi there, my name is Crystalline. I'm your modern magical mentor, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about the astrology of the Venus Mars conjunction that is really close to happening right now. But there's a catch. It's actually a story that is not going to see an ending, at least not right now, and at least not in the current sign that these stars are in Leo. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the chart. And you may have already been noticing a little sense of, I want to say, like animosity in relationships where things have just been getting a little tricky with keeping our cool and making sure that we are seen in relationships and that everybody around us also has what they need because they're coming from the perspective of wanting what they need as well. So there's a really big call for compromise, but I don't know necessarily that we're in the state of mind for wanting to reach compromise just yet. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about on this screen over here. So we're looking primarily at Venus and Mars. And so when we take everything off of the chart and we just look at those two, we see that they are within a couple degrees of each other, 22 to 26 degrees. So that's like a 4-degree application of Venus, who's moving faster than Mars right now, catching up to Mars in Leo. But like I said, this is a story that's not going to come to completion. So we're feeling the impending energy of it. We're feeling it coming closer and closer and closer together. However, it will likely ebb away. The conjunction that is of Venus and Mars, actually, we can look at this and we can see the last time that they met up was down here. We see was March 6th, 2022. That was the last time that they were conjunct with each other. They are not going to conjoin with each other again until February 22nd, 2024. And that will be in Aquarius, which is actually square to the sign that they are in right now. Sorry, it's opposite to the sign that they're in right now. They are in Leo now, and they're going to take until they both get over here to actually meet up again and have that exact conjunction at, I believe it's 6 degrees of Aquarius, very nearly to 7 degrees Aquarius. So we see that they are close together now. We see that the elements of Venus and Mars really bring together this clash of almost divine feminine and divine masculine, or the impulse and the receptivity. So one of the things we can look at is if we go to, we'll look at Valence anthology, and it's in book one. What is Mercury doing right now? I actually know, and it shouldn't be interrupting me too much. But in Valence book 1 on page 35, it's actually the last paragraph of that page. We see what Valence has to say about the combination of two planets, specifically Venus and Mars. So to quote Valence, and I'm going to read directly because clearly I need to, Venus and Mars are at odds, like we just mentioned. They make men, which is the typical men. You have to understand this was written like 5,000 years ago. So understanding that they make men unsteady and weak of mind. They cause rivalry and murder, bit dramatic. And they cause men to have many friends, but to be blameworthy, shameless, and fickle. So that's something that we can say, especially exacerbating that by them being in Leo. We're seeing that maybe these two are having this situation of wanting to do the me thing and not necessarily being willing to compromise. When we look at this from a more psychological point of view with our modern context, we can see that maybe this is arguments bubbling up, but this is where I really recommend taking a breath this week. If you find your relationships are kind of entering into this kind of energy, take a breath and then ask yourself why you feel like you're not safe, why you feel like you're not seen, why you feel like you're not heard, why you feel like you're not appreciated. Any of these questions that might be coming up for you when you ask yourself why you're angry at that person, take it back. I actually recommend 5 whys. Why the first thing, and when you realize why that is, ask yourself why again. You take it back 5 whys, you've usually gotten to the base of the situation, and then you'll be able to see your perspective for what it is and actually solve the problem rather than just reacting to the emotions of the situation. So these are some things to keep in mind. Again, we're not going to actually have this come to a head right now. So we don't want to wound any relationships a little ahead of time or anything like that. But something that we can consider is that there might be some tension and then it fades away. So we also know that this emotion is temporary. In fact, on the 22nd of this month, Venus is going to stop and turn around. And before then, Mars is actually moving into Virgo this week. So he's going to change his topic of focus in just a few days, actually on the specifically on the 10th of July. Mars will move into Virgo and kind of get out of Venus's hair. Venus is slowing down. She will retrograde from July 22nd through September 3rd or so. And she's going to be hanging out in Leo through October. So we can see that, again, tensions are heavy. They're on the rise, but they will ebb. So between now and the 11th, actually the 10th, you might notice that there's a little bit more of that, and then it kind of fades away. So if you can find the room in your heart to compromise, if you can find not even to compromise, but to make sure everyone feels seen, because that should be the true definition of compromise. It's you feel seen, I feel seen, we can work together on this. That's going to be very constructive, very helpful, and it's going to give you a lot of tools that might help you through the entire Venus retrograde. Now, I'm also going to point out that Uranus is over here. Venus had the square with Uranus on the 2nd of July. Mars is coming up on that in, actually Mars is done with that. And so we have this square from Uranus saying, I'm going to make things a little chaotic. I'm going to bring things out of left field, but it's nothing that we haven't already gotten hints of since these aspects did perfect already. Venus is already at 22. Mars is already at 26. They are beyond Uranus's pivot point at this point. And now we're sort of reacting to things that may have happened a week ago or may have happened a few days ago that we're now processing our feelings about. So keeping that in mind, and make sure that you check to see where Leo is in your chart. The sign of Leo kind of looks like this. And so when you find Leo in your chart, you can see how personal this might feel for you. If your chart looks something like this, where Leo is at one of these angles, kind of like the directions on a compass, you might notice that it feels more personal for you, that you're noticing it more prevalently. If it's somewhere in between, it may be something that you're noticing happening to other people in your life and you're just having feelings about it, or it may be something that's not even on your radar. So those are ways that you can check into how much this is relevant to you. And if you are feeling it, these are some ideas that might be able to help you navigate it with grace and ease and passion and decisiveness and ambition, which are keywords for both Mars and Venus as they combine their energies a little bit. And remember, they won't make that perfect conjunction just yet. We have all the way until late January, early February, even after that, actually, before we want to think about what those two are doing and what that conjunction might mean. And it'll have a whole different topic in your life by that point. Actually, the exact opposite topic in your life by that point in February of 2024. So with that, I hope that you have a passionate week, that you channel this energy into your creative work, into feeling like you can express yourself fully, and into feeling like you can be seen and understood and have incredible relationships with people who hold that space for you and people that you can hold that space for. If you want to work with me more, of course, you can go to my website, crystallineavatovich.com, and you can find me at The Real Crystalline on TikTok. But like this Venus retrograde, I am doing a lot of things that I'm changing. So if we connect now, you'll be the first to know as these things change. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful week.